Hey guys, in this month's top 5, I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 favorite books that take place out at sea. So, what do I mean by books that take place out at sea? Any type of book that takes place out on an ocean, or around an island or something, or on a cruise ship or whatever, just any sort of scenario where the primary setting is the characters are out at sea, if that makes sense, I guess. So I guess it sounds rather broad in a way, but I found some books. I did find some books that I was like, okay, these are some books that take place primarily out at sea. The characters are in some sort of peril. So, at number 5, I have Voyage of the Dawn Treader, part of the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. And this does not take place like at a real sea, you know, the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or whatever. This takes place at a fictional sea in the world of Narnia. But yeah, this is a Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I think Voyage of the Dawn Treader, if I had to pick a favorite Narnia book, Voyage of the Dawn Treader is seriously one of my favorites in the series. I mean, I obviously love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian, and then I think one of my top favorites is probably The Silver Chair, and I've always been devastated the movies were never able to get around to The Silver Chair, because I love The Silver Chair. But yeah, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, one of my particular favorites. We see the return of Lucy and Edmund Pevensey. This time, though, their older siblings are not along for the journey, and they have brought along their cousin Eustace. And you guys, which book is this? Is this book number 4 in the series, technically? The Chronicles of Narnia series, the book order is really weird because some of the books were kind of published, you know, not in chronological order. So is this technically book 4 in the series? I think this might be technically book 4, even though it was movie 3. When they made the movies, it was movie 3. But I think it's technically book 4, if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm forgetting a book somewhere in there. I've not read the Chronicles of Narnia in a very long time. But yeah, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, like I said, Lucy and Edmund are back with their cousin Eustace, and this time they're boarding the Dawn Treader, which is like a special Narnia ship, and they're going to be traveling across the sea of Narnia and going to these various different islands because they're on a specific mission. They're on a specific mission to look for something, for someone, and yeah, it takes them across the far reaches of Narnia. And what's so great about Voyage of the Dawn Treader? It's just simply an adventure story. You know, it's a fun adventure story full of whimsy and magic, and it's just like this core of Narnia. You know, you're getting to see these different areas of Narnia that you've never gotten to see before. And it's kind of one of the most different books in the series, I feel like, because of how far-reaching it goes out. But yeah, anybody else love Voyage of the Dawn Treader? Seriously, it's one of my top favorites. So good, you guys. At number 4, of course, I had to put something related to the Titanic on this list because I love the Titanic. And we have Titanic, The Long Night by Diane Ho. And this book, you guys, I've read a lot of Titanic fiction over the years, and I was looking through all the Titanic books I've read, and I was like, well, what is my top favorite? And to this day, Titanic, The Long Night is one of my top favorite Titanic fiction books. It was published back like the very late 90s. I was like a preteen when it first came out, and I read it so many times. I should have pulled my copy out because the cover is falling apart. But yeah, to this day, as much Titanic fiction as I have read, this still remains one of my top favorite Titanic related books. And I mean, yeah, what's there to talk about with the Titanic? It takes place out in the Atlantic Sea, obviously. They hit an iceberg, they sink. But yeah, the whole book, it's almost kind of similar to the movie, if you want me to compare it to something. It is very similar to the James Cameron movie. I guess some differences, though. This book, you do focus on a pair of first-class passengers who have a romance, and then there's also a couple third-class passengers that you're following their romance. So yeah, it's definitely like a romance sort of book, obviously set at sea on the Titanic. But yeah, more targeted towards like a young adult audience, I think. But yeah, I love this book. It's actually part of a duology. The second book is like the aftermath. But yeah, I love the first book. So yeah, if you're looking for good Titanic fiction, definitely check out The Long Night by Diane Ho. Just so good. Easily one of my top favorites when it comes to Titanic. At number 3, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. And this was actually the very first Ruth Ware book that I read, and it's the first book that got me obsessed with Ruth Ware, because ever since reading this book, I've picked up all of Ruth Ware's other books. But yeah, The Woman in Cabin 10, it takes place on a luxury cruise ship, and our main character gets invited to go on this cruise ship, and there's like a handful of other passengers. Yeah, the cruise ship isn't like a completely full cruise ship. It's kind of like just a small group of people. So you do get this more kind of closed-in murder mystery sort of thing going on, like Agatha Christie. But yeah, this handful of passengers and crew that are on this luxury cruise ship, our main character comes on board, and the girl that is next to her cabin, the next cabin over, she sees this girl, but then something happens, and all of a sudden this girl that's in the cabin next to her, the woman in cabin 10, the woman in cabin 10 all of a sudden just disappears with no trace, and our main protagonist sits and wonders, okay, am I crazy? Was there never a girl in that cabin? Where is she? And so she spends the whole novel looking for this girl, trying to convince other people that this girl exists. Where is she? Has she been murdered? So yeah, the Woman in Cabin 10 is very much like an Agatha Christie novel. If I had to compare it to something, it's just very good, very atmospheric, and yeah, you're with the narrator, wondering where the Woman in Cabin 10 went. And yeah, what makes this book so good is it's at sea. It's confined to one space, one location. There's only so many crew. There's only so many passengers. There's only so many cabins and rooms and crannies, to hide in. So that's what makes this book so interesting, because of how confined it is. It's one place, one location, so many people, so many rooms. So it does give you that great sense of, like, what is going on here? What are we missing? So that's why I love The Woman in Cabin 10. One of Ruth Ware's best. I love it immensely. At number 2 is The Lifeboat by Charlotte Rogan. And this book, you guys, oh my god. This book, it's all about people on a lifeboat. Peril at sea. It's a survival story. It's about people just at each other's throats, and yeah, what being stuck on a lifeboat does to people. It's me versus you and all of this. What do we do about food? What do we do about the elements? This book is insane. And you may be thinking, the whole book takes place on a lifeboat? That sounds kind of boring, but I tell you, it is not boring. You would not believe the amount of things that can happen on a lifeboat. But yeah, this book is about a woman who has been recently married. Her and her husband get on a ship, and yeah, does this take place right before World War I? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I read this book. I believe the book takes place kind of right before World War I. So there's kind of that lingering in the background, because World War I is literally kind of on the verge of starting, so there's kind of all of that in the background of this narrative going on. to kind of add a little bit more like historical drama. But yeah, a woman, and she's newly married, her husband, they get on this ship, the ship sinks, and that's kind of the big question of this book. You're not really quite sure how this boat even sank. Was it an iceberg? Was it a mechanical problem? There's also kind of this hint of, well, could it have been like a German torpedo, something like that, you know? It's insane. Because this is the type of book you're not really going to get any sort of answers. You got to kind of read into the context, like, okay, could it be this, could it be that? And yeah, the ship sinks. We have this lifeboat of passengers, all different types of people. You got first class, second class, third class, some crew, and yeah, they're all in this predicament together, trying to survive at sea with these horrible conditions, waiting for someone to come rescue them. They have to ration their food. They gotta try to figure out how to get some water. It's a horrible thing. They're all under the same circumstance, but yet you still kind of have these issues of class, you know, like, oh, I'm still first class. First class don't matter on a damn lifeboat, you know, when you're all trying to be rescued. So there's also kind of this, in the story as well, in the novel, you kind of get some, because the lifeboat is actually all flashbacks. The majority of the novel is the lifeboat, but a lot of it is flashbacks, because our main character, the newlywed, she is actually being put on trial. After everything that has gone down with the lifeboat, we do get these scenes with her that she's imprisoned, and she's being put on trial for something that has happened on this lifeboat. So there's a lot going on with this lifeboat. It's so much more than being on a lifeboat, you guys. There's a lot of drama and intensity going on, and that's why I love it. And yeah, this is just a great example of, you know, being at peril on the sea, you know, peril on the sea, and people having to fight against the elements. So yeah, I definitely recommend this if you have any interest in it. And at number 1, if you haven't guessed it already, Life of Pi by Yann Martel. Oh my goodness, I love Life of Pi, you guys. I love the book. I love the movie that came out several years ago. Oh my goodness. Life of Pi is just a heart-wrenching, heart-tugging, inspirational, sometimes confusing book because you're not quite sure what's reality, what's just fiction going on. This book is so beautiful. Yann Martel, this book it's beautiful and it's descriptive. Like I said, there's something inspiring about it, something very emotional. And it's about this young boy from India, correct? It's about this young boy from India. His name is Pi. He and his family, they're moving from India. They're on this ship. This ship sinks, and Pi is like one of the only survivors. And on his little lifeboat that he's on is a tiger that he names Peter Parker. And oh my goodness, it's just this boy and this tiger trying to survive the elements at sea, the weather, trying to eat, trying to get water. And yeah, he kind of finds some various different little places that he can kind of go to, like little islands, but he has to kind of leave those islands eventually and keep going out, you know, to try to get rescued. Seriously, this is one of those books that will stay with you long after you read it. It's just so captivating, so beautiful and moving. It really makes you think by the end about what you just read. So yeah, if you're one of the few people who has not read Life of Pi, please read it. You will not regret it. It's just one of the most beautiful books ever. So you guys, that is it for this month's top 5. In the comments below, I've probably left out some favorites. I didn't even include something like Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Only reason I didn't include Moby Dick in this list is because I hate that book. I hate that book with a passion. Had to read it for American literature, and I hated it with a passion, so that's why that's not on here. But yeah, I didn't put something like Moby Dick on here, or even Treasure Island, because I've never read Treasure Island, which I feel quite ashamed about. But yeah, you guys, what favorites did I leave out? What books have you read that primarily take place at sea, you know, whether that be on a lifeboat like Life of Pi, or a book on the Titanic, something like that? Just let me know your thoughts down below. What are some of your favorites? So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.